Why are Meghan and Prince Andrew showing up in the same shady parts of the story? And why is this happening now? Prince Andrew has messed up. Everyone knows that. But the real panic inside the palace has never been about what he did in the past. It's been about what he might say. Andrew thinks he's been treated unfairly. He thinks he was thrown under the bus to protect other people. And a guy who feels backstabbed becomes unpredictable. Sources say Andrew has information that could embarrass powerful people inside the family. Not William, not Edward, but maybe Charles himself. For years, the Queen protected Andrew. She was his shield. But now she's gone, and so is Prince Philip. The two people who could calm him down, control him, or keep him close aren't here anymore. The palace is scared of revenge. They're scared of embarrassment. They're scared Andrew will decide that if he's going down, someone else is coming with him. And that's why the system has changed. His title's put on pause. His role taken away, his home at risk. It's not punishment. It's damage control. Because the most dangerous person isn't the guilty one. It's the one who knows things. When quiet pressure doesn't work, stronger tactics show up. And in Andrew's case, the strongest tactic isn't aimed at him. It's aimed at his daughters. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie are his weak spot. They're his pride, his protection, and his only emotional anchor. Sources say the palace knows this and uses it. The warnings are subtle but harsh. Their titles could be questioned. Their status could be lowered. Their private lives could be exposed. Even just the threat of leaked information about them is enough to keep Andrew quiet. Money is another pressure point. Payments to keep him silent. Negotiations, promises, taking things away, and finally the threat of exile. Just like the Duke of Windsor before him. The goal isn't to punish. The goal is to prevent. Prevent him from writing. Prevent him from speaking. Prevent him from becoming dangerous. And now that new evidence is being whispered into the light, the pressure is only getting worse. If there's one thing Prince Andrew still cares about, it's his daughters. Beatrice and Eugenie are often shown as innocent, quiet, and untouched by the storms around their father. But according to Andrew Loney's research, that picture isn't true. Behind the scenes, the two women are more involved than the public has been told. And that's exactly why they've become the palace's most effective weapon. For years, a polished image has been pushed. The good daughters, the beautiful nieces, the victims of their parents' mistakes. But sources say there's another layer. A deeper connection to their parents' dealings, their social circles, and the people who moved through their world. Some of that information, Loney says, couldn't be published. Not because it wasn't believable, but because lawyers advised against it, or because it would have been seen as too explosive. And now the press has started circling them. Not aggressively, not loudly, but steadily. Questions about their business ventures, questions about their charity roles, questions about their property agreements. The palace, by delaying consequences for Andrew, has opened the door for curiosity to spread. The daughters are no longer protected, and Andrew knows it. The more they become part of the story, the more control the palace has over him. Because a guy may risk his own reputation, but he won't risk his kids. To understand how Andrew entered the world that eventually destroyed him, you have to look at Sarah Ferguson. Long before scandals, settlements, and televised disasters, she and Ghislaine Maxwell were the queens of New York high society. They were the gatekeepers, the social superstars, and they opened doors that changed the course of royal history. Sources confirm that it was Fergie who introduced Ghislaine to Andrew. Then, according to accounts from inside that circle, it was Ghislaine who brought Andrew to Jeffrey Epstein. And in a twist that reveals the rivalry beneath the surface, Ghislaine has claimed that Fergie later pursued Epstein herself. This wasn't a friendship group. It was a ladder and everyone was climbing it. Now, leaked emails are appearing and they seem to come from one place, Ghislaine. She's believed to have kept a collection of messages as insurance. Not to protect Andrew, but to protect herself and possibly to shift attention toward him and away from other more powerful figures. Fergie, meanwhile, has acted like she enjoys the chaos. The attention energizes her. The drama keeps her relevant. Even claims of breakdown, sources suggest, may be nothing more than strategy, a way to play victim and regain sympathy. And in another curious detail, when Andrew Loney approached her to offer a chance to speak, to cooperate, to shape her narrative. She refused and even told others not to talk. That decision freed him to publish everything he could legally print. If she had cooperated, pieces might have been softened. Instead, she shut the door and the story opened wider. While some scandals rely on whispers, this part of the story sits on hard facts. One of the most revealing incidents happened in 2016. Far away from cameras and press coverage, Prince Andrew rammed his Range Rover into the gates of Windsor because he refused to take a short detour. 2 people standing nearby were injured. The gates were destroyed and the bill, more than $100,000, was paid by taxpayers. This wasn't an accident. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was entitlement in action. And it didn't stop there. Reports from inside the estate describe bullying, shouting, and harassment of staff. They also point to his time as a special trade envoy, a government-funded position where his behavior allegedly undermined the role, embarrassed the office, and misused public trust. Legal experts say there are grounds for charges, not rumors, not theories, but charges. Misconduct in public office, abuse of duty, destruction of property. The only question is whether law enforcement has the guts to act. Until recently, members of the royal family were treated as untouchable. But public opinion has shifted and patience has run out. The more the public sees, the louder the demand becomes. And every headline, every resurfaced detail, every taxpayer-funded repair brings the palace closer to a point where silence is no longer possible. While the public thinks Prince Andrew has already lost everything, the truth is different. He's lost duties, he's lost visibility, but he hasn't lost titles. And that's where the next fight is emerging. Years ago, Parliament was asked to strip Harry of his title. The response was simple. Only the Queen could do that. But now that Andrew is the target, the message has changed slightly, but not by much. Parliament claims it doesn't want to intervene. King Charles suggests it shouldn't be his responsibility alone. Both sides are passing the burden back and forth like a hot potato. But outside the palace walls, something louder is happening. Polls show that more than 80% of the public wants Andrew stripped of all titles and removed from Royal Lodge. Other monarchies have done it. Denmark recently removed princely titles from royal grandchildren. And historically, when a member of the British royal family became too embarrassing, too disruptive or too dangerous, there was a solution. Exile. That's what happened to the Duke of Windsor, who was sent abroad. Far from influence, far from cameras, far from power. Now, the same whispers are forming around Andrew. Some say Spain, some say Switzerland, some say the Middle East, and some say the decision has already been made. And the delay is simply about negotiating money, protection for the daughters, and a quiet exit that doesn't look like punishment. This part of the story isn't about confirmed wrongdoing. It isn't about guilt or scandal. It's about proximity, circles, access, and timing, all of which point to a connection that many people never noticed. Long before Meghan Markle entered the royal family, she moved in the same social spaces as Beatrice and Eugenie, the same friends, the same stylist, the same parties, the same New York connections. There are photos posted at the same time from the same places. There are travel overlaps. There are shared relationships. Then there's the wedding in Jamaica. Tom Inskip's wedding, where Meghan arrived by private plane, allegedly linked to billionaire Ron Burkle. While Harry flew economy, Fergie and Eugenie were there. Andrew was believed to be nearby. Yet later, Fergie publicly claimed she had never met Meghan until the royal wedding. That statement doesn't match the timeline. And then a separate source claimed that Meghan was once seen with Andrew at a Toronto hotel years earlier, not staying overnight, but present. These pieces don't prove conspiracy, but they raise questions about familiarity, about introductions, and about why certain people pretend not to have known each other. Andrew Loney himself acknowledges these overlaps and says more work is being done to connect the dots, especially because these circles run through Soho House, Burkle, and individuals who appear again and again in all their worlds. We're now standing at the edge of a story that hasn't finished. A story that's only beginning to break open. The leaked emails we've seen so far are only fragments. There are thousands more locked away, held as insurance, waiting for the right moment. Some say they came from Ghislaine Maxwell. Some say they're meant to distract the world from even bigger names, Powerful people who once moved inside Epstein's circle like planets around a sun. Meanwhile, Andrew is being cornered. His home may be taken, his titles may be stripped, his daughters may be exposed, and the royal family is desperately trying to keep the walls from cracking. Because if Andrew speaks, truly speaks, the story won't stop with him. It'll move upward, outward, and sideways. William is tightening the net. Charles is avoiding the decision. Parliament is waiting for instruction. The public is losing patience. And in the middle of it all, new receipts appear, connecting names, timelines, meetings, flights, and friendships that were never meant to overlap. Meghan's path, the York sisters' social world, Fergie's introductions, Andrew's downfall, Harry's legal threats. It feels like separate pieces until they're placed on the table together. Then a different picture begins to form. A picture that suggests the real story. The full story hasn't been told yet. And when the next leak comes, when the next email drops, when the next name surfaces, the silence may finally break.